Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with my mid-July reading wrap-up where I talk about the books that I read in the first half of the month of July. So let's get straight into things. The big thing for this month that though I didn't plan ahead for it was I joined Graphicsathon. That is a readathon I came across on Twitter, though I will put a link to the announcement video in the description down below. And this is a readathon where from the 11th to the 17th or so, you read books with graphics, visual graphics, or mostly made of visual graphics. I'm kind of butchering this explanation, but that includes graphic novels, comic books, manga, manhwa, that kind of thing. And I decided to join in because I had one manga out that I was planning to read, and then there were several others I wanted to catch up on series wise. So, but before that, the first book that I read in the month of July was Ace of Spades. And before I continue, the usual summertime disclaimers. First of all, please excuse me if I'm glowing or glistening. It is hot, and I have my window open for air, so you might hear ambient noises because I live on a major street in a major city. But yeah, I read Ace of Spades. This was actually something I wanted to read for June, but didn't get to. This is a very hyped release last year, and I was cautiously interested. I'm not 100% sure if dark academia is something I'd like to read, but it is a theme that I like in general. Not a super fan, but I do like it. Anyway, this is by Farida Abike-Imide. I'm not good with translating accents, so I'm not sure that I pronounced that properly, but so this is like a dark academia. We're following two characters. There are only two black students in this prestigious private high school. Then their lives are going pretty good. In the beginning, they both become like, what is it, senior prefects? Yeah, senior prefects. Chiamaka is from a rich family, and Devin is at the school on a scholarship. He's from the hood, and trying to do better for himself. They are both ambitious young students, hoping to get into good colleges, but shortly after becoming senior prefects in their senior year of high school, things start going wrong for them. There's like a gossip girl element where suddenly everyone, or all the students, as to say, in the school are getting these text messages about their classmates and the secrets that they have. And at first it seems like more and Chimiaka and Devin are involved in these, but eventually you see it's just them two. Eventually, too long, in my opinion, they realize that this is probably race related. And the hunt is on to find out who it is that's trying to ruin their lives and blackmail them, and why. So I read this. I wound up giving this to my mother because I was like, this is different. I know that people that I follow that read thrillers or suspense books more often were kind of like meh about this. One of the popular things that I've heard said about this book is that they saw what the author was trying to do, but didn't feel like they quite captured that or quite got to it. Another reference I've heard is like Get Out, and I still haven't seen that movie, so I don't know. But there was definitely vibes I was into this. It was a page turner. It was tense for me. I was held like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? One thing though, I will say, I feel like when there's an issue, the struggle that the characters or protagonists have are related to race or other things that they can't change about themselves physically, but it's very obvious that, you know, other people other them because of that. I get very tense and kind of lose hope. There's kind of a despair feel because it's just like, well, what can they do? These two kids are not gonna eradicate racism. So how is this going to come to a conclusion? I did not love the ending. It felt a little bit anticlimactic to me, but it was the best thing that could have possibly happened. Just before the very end, there was a scene where they tried to report or to someone else, and I was just like, this is stupid. Not stupid. This is a bad idea because that's a white woman. Immediately, once you realize that race is a major factor in this, anyone white is a suspect. Do not trust. Right? Dead dove do not eat. Giving away another reference there. Also, another character was a little bit suspicious to me. They kind of confused things for me. There were some really cool secondary, tertiary characters in here. Otherwise, though, just some of them, like, I think his name is Jamie, Chiamaka's best friend. If you read this, you know, like, I don't want to spoil by even giving too much of a reaction, but oh my god. Woo! Like, if this ever becomes a movie, whoever acts his part, and if they do it well, like, kudos, because he was very well written. Yeah, there is also LGBT plus rep in this, more than I was expecting. It's kind of a happily ever after, which may or may not be a good thing for a thriller. But I'm overall pleased and was very well thrilled throughout this. Like I said, super page turner, because I was like, I need to know what is going to happen next. I also appreciate that Devin and Chiamaka did not become like best friends because of the situation. And also, this is really believable, unfortunately. So I wound up giving that 4 stars. The next book I finished was the first for Graphicsathon. It was My Androgynous Boyfriend, Volume 3. And this is by Tamiku. This is obviously the 3rd volume I've read from this manga series. It's contemporary, and we're following Wako. I'm sorry. Oh, no. She's not on the cover. Meguru, who is Wako's androgynous boyfriend, and Wako. I don't even know exactly how to describe this. It's very lighthearted. It's very light read, so a good palate cleanser. But also, like, what is the point? Sometimes my thought when I read this, I think I like this issue a little bit less. Basically, Meguru is a guy who is androgynous looking, and he likes dressing prettily and cutely, sometimes in female clothing, but he is not trans. He's not trying to pass as a woman. This is just for fun. He's not trying to make it a career or anything like that. He meets Wako, who is a average businesswoman, when they're relatively young, but the business she works in is like those manga magazines, and they have fashion sections and all of that stuff. She, you know, But they're in love with each other and their relationship is very cute. Wako is kind of still a fangirl, so she's always trying to like push Meguru out there to become rich and famous or whatever with his looks, sacrificing herself in their relationship, and it's kind of ridiculous. But Meguru always kind of like brings her back down to earth. In this issue, also on the cover here, and I'm sorry, this is Meguru. This is Sasame, another androgynous boy who is now working together with Meguru. This one was kind of all over the place. What I'm realizing now that I've read the 3rd volume is that this series, the way it's written, right, there's several chapters and in each issue, like all manga, but the story is not being told linearly. So there's kind of several storylines which I thought were just maybe small snippets and we dropped after the 1st or 2nd volume, but they're picked back up again here in the 3rd volume. So I'm realizing like in various chapters we're following kind of various shorter storylines over several issues. So instead of following a storyline chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, it'll be like chapter 1 in volume 1, chapter 2 in volume 2, chapter 2 in volume 3, if that makes any kind of sense. And that's okay. So at first, like, oh, we're coming back to this. So that's interesting in this volume. But also, it makes it a little bit more frustrating to read. And yeah, some of what happened in here was confusing. And I don't know what's the point yet because of that. New characters get introduced and you have no clue who they are, why they're there. And 2 new characters in this one again, and I was just like, what? So there's just always a level of kind of ridiculousness in this that is okay, but yeah, I wound up giving that a 3.5 stars. Okay, so continuing with Graphicsathon, and there are prompts and like a bingo board for it, but I'm not exactly picking for that. My androgynous boyfriend was the manga I had out, and I realized, hey, I was gonna read it on the 10th, but the 11th started Graphicsathon, so I said, why not? Because I'm in, I guess, a little bit of a reading slump. I'm just kind of anxious about work stuff and other things. I put a lot on my plate this month, and so if you've been following my channel, you realize how many videos I've been putting out. It's more than normal, but I'm like determined to catch up. But I also had something else I'm doing unrelated to filming it, and that's also stressful. So, and just like everyday life stuff. And when this happens, I have a whole stack of library books out, but it's like I personally punish myself for not doing what I'm supposed to do, being productive, so I don't pick up the books, and then I beat myself up for not reading the books, and they're library books, so they're due. Anyway, in my July wrap-up, I will go over what books I read for which Graphicsathon prompt, if any of them fit. But at this point, I'm just picking up what I want to. The next book I finished in July was Snapdragon by Kat Lay. Now this book I read the digital version of, and this was the June pick for the Realm of Comics book club, but Lashette's brain completely forgot, and I read one of the July picks in June, not realizing. So I'm like, let me read this now. This is a middle grade slightly paranormal, like low fantasy graphic novel. So in this, we're following Snap, a young girl who doesn't quite fit in with the other kids, so she's a little bit of a loner, and her mom works a lot. One day, Snapdragon is the name of our main character here. She had heard about her town having a local witch, and the kids were saying things about what the witch does to animals. And though Snap didn't believe it, when her dog goes missing, she goes to confront this so-called witch, only to find out that she's not what she thought, or she was probably what she originally thought, a normal older woman. They kind of strike up a friendship and come up with a deal to have Jax, the witch, teach Snap some of the things that she does, and in return, Snap will help Jax with her business. So it's a very cute story. There's LGBT plus QIA rep in this, and in various ways, which I feel, even though I can't speak for all of those, I think it was very well done. Also well done is the family element, which it was just so beautiful. I loved all of the relationships. Snaps with her mom, who is super cool and supportive, and with her friend Lulu, and then with Jax, and they find out, Jax and Snap, that they have a connection, a personal one that neither one of them were aware of, and coming to that was very cool. I love the art style in this as well. And I, as a witch in real life, I feel like this is one of the top or the best depictions of modern day witchcraft that I've ever come across. I love the way Jax explained it and how it works within the book. And I don't have a problem with like the more fantastical that shows up in other books. That's fine, but being a witch, it's refreshing to see something more closer to accuracy to how it really works, magic or witchcraft, how it's really practiced or can be practiced. This book doesn't speak to all types of witchcraft or magic, but I think it's a good generalization, especially for something for middle grade kids. I wound up giving this a 4.5 stars, and appreciate that Bree from the Lock Booktician recommended this for the Realm of Comics book club, because